Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Fennell, and today we're going to be talking about the universal energy. The universal energy is the most fundamental entity of the entire physical world. This universal energy is the basis for all things. We create all things. All motions and dynamics exist because of it. So it's very important to understand the universal energy. What we're going to be talking about is we're going to be presenting the universal energy in context with the other types of energies. This will, of course, lead to the unified field solution, which we'll discuss a little bit of in this video. However, do know that there will be a second video just on the unified field. The universal energy is the source for all things. It is the most universal, is the most fundamental entity in the entire universe. It is from this universal energy that all other energies are created. That means gravitational, magnetic, electrical, and nuclear all come from the universal energy. Okay? This also means that the universal energy is the primary entity behind all particles, and therefore all structures, all particles, all atoms, and therefore all large-scale objects. So it's everything. Now let's talk about the universal energy with the other types of energies, okay? All of the specific types of energies are composed of the universal energy, okay? So what happens is we have the universal energy and it's divided into different packets in different ways. And these little packets are the types of energy, okay? So the universal energy is the essence for all the other types of energies. Stated the other way, all the other types of energies are composed of the same essence, which is the universal energy. So we'll take a look now at an overview of the unified energy solution, which comes from this physical reality. All energies are made of the same essence. That means gravitational energy, magnetic energy, electrical energy, and nuclear energy are all composed of the same essence. That essence is the universal energy, okay? So there's the sameness about them. The difference between the energies is the quantity of universal energies in each energy fish, okay? So for example, the gravitational energy fish has a small amount of universal energy, while the magnetic energy fish has a large amount of universal energy, okay? So that's the difference. But we can see here that this leads us to a unified energy. We have a solution for the unified energy because all the known energies are composed of the same essence. That makes it a unified concept. Okay? Now the differences of these specific energy types. Again, all energies are composed of the universal energy. That's very important. The primary difference between each type of energy is the amount of universal energy in each energy fish, okay? Like I said, for gravitational energy, there's just a small amount of the universal. For magnetic energy, there's a large amount of the universal, okay? This leads to two corollary differences, which are for practical purposes. We will see they're very practical. One is the size of the energy fish. The gravitational energy fish is naturally smaller because it has a small quantity of universal energy. Conversely, the magnetic energy fish is much larger because it has more universal energy, okay? So the size is correlated with the amount of universal energy. The second difference is the shape. Each of these energy types is not just a cluster of the universal energy, it's a complex origami type structure. It's a complex geometry. And it is a combination of the amount of universal energy and the size, which can make the complex origami shape. Okay, and that's the second, that's another corollary. So sameness in the essence of universal energy, difference in the amount of universal energy, size of the energy fish, geometric shape of the energy fish. Now, to understand this concept of universal energy being divided into every type of energy, we're going to use the analogy of flour. So we take a bag of flour. It's all one substance. It's just flour. But we can divide that flour into different amounts. For example, we can have 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/2 a teaspoon, or a tablespoon, all different amounts. We can have a 1/4 cup, a 1/3 cup, a 1/2 cup, a full cup, different amounts. We can have a teaspoon or a tablespoon versus a full cup. So it's all just flour. It's all just the same flour. We're just gathering different amounts and putting those into different containers. It's all the same flour, okay? In the same way, we divide up the universal energy. So we begin with a container of universal energy, right? The big bag of universal energy. Then we can divide it in different amounts. So for example, 1/8 of a teaspoon of universal energy becomes gravity. 1/3 of a cup of universal energy becomes electricity. 1/2 a cup of universal energy becomes magnetism. And a full cup of universal energy becomes nuclear power, nuclear energy. So you see how that works? All of these types of energies are the same essence. They're all universal energy. The difference is the amount of universal energy that we're putting into the little containers, okay? So 1/8 of a teaspoon, gravitational energy. 1/2 a cup, much greater size, magnetic energy. And a full cup, that's a heck of a lot of universal energy. That makes our nuclear. So you see how that works? It's the same essence, we're just parceling it out into different sizes. Now, notice also that we can convert any one type of energy into another. Because they're the same essence, it's really just converting amounts, adding or dividing. That's it. So with our flour analogy, if we want to create a half a cup of flour from, and all we have are 1/8 teaspoons of flour, then what we'll do is we will collect all these 1/8 teaspoons. All right, so we got these 1/8 teaspoon flour, right, lined up all over our kitchen table, tons of them. Then we take those and dump them one at a time into our half cup container. Okay. Now we have a half cup of flour based on all the 1/8 teaspoons that we had. It's just adding to combine and get a larger amount. We can do the same thing with our energy types. So for example, if we want to create magnetic energy from gravitational energy, we take all this gravitational energy, like those tiny little 1/8 teaspoons that we had on our kitchen table, and we can take all of them on this whole pile, this whole stack of 1/8 teaspoons, and we put them together into a half a cup. Okay, same sort of thing. We're collecting all this gravitational energy, which is very tiny, but put it together into a larger container, and now we have magnetic energy. Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple. It works very easily. We could also convert the energy types in either direction, right? So we can combine the small units into a larger container, or we can take the larger energies and divide them up into smaller containers. We can do this because all energy types are made of the universal energy. That's the key. Again, the universal energy. We can convert any type of energy to another because they're all the same substance. Okay, so remember the flour analogy when converting energy types. You combine flour to make it a larger, or you divide up the flour to make it smaller. Same thing with our energy fish. Okay, universal energy is what each thing is made of. We're just going to combine the smaller packets into a large, or we're going to divide a large package into smaller bits. Now, this is also important. It goes beyond scientific, but it should be mentioned. Universal energy is universal, meaning it is not just the physical science energies that we know of. It also includes the other things we might call spiritual or metaphysical energies. These include consciousness and love, as well as other types of energies. I was going to say that I know far more about these types of energies than, let's just say that I have inside knowledge on the physical realities of these things. So I know what I'm talking about here. So comparison amounts. Notice where I inserted consciousness energy and love energy. Consciousness energy is really small, but it's greater than gravitational energy. Not as great as electrical energy, but greater than gravitational energy. Love energy is at the very largest. You think nuclear energy is strong, it's love energy that's really, really super strong. That love energy is When it comes to the whole universe, the love energy is a superpower of amazing, amazing force. Keep that in mind. Now, you remember what I said about energy fish coming together? Well, consciousness also exists in these energy fish forms. And larger gatherings of the consciousness energy makes a larger consciousness. Okay? So so that's why some small animals and small organisms do have consciousness, but not much. Because they have those energy fish of consciousness energy within them, but just a small gathering. Whereas you take a smarter being like a human or a dolphin, and you'll find that they have larger gatherings of much more significant gathering of consciousness energy fish. And that's what makes a higher consciousness being. Okay. So just keep this in mind. So this is reality, and the size here in comparison to flour, the teaspoon, tablespoon, and cups, these are relative sizes of the amounts of universal energy in each one. Okay. Okay, let's review the universal energy. The universal energy is the most fundamental entity. All energy types are composed of the universal energy, and they're made of the same substance. The difference in energy types is the amount of universal energy, which is then the size of the energy fish. These energy types then become fields, particles, and the cause of all energy dynamics. Now we get back to linking the universal energy to the theory of everything. This one universal energy can now explain the physical existence and processes for all physical science. That means we have a simple concept that it can explain every observation, every entity, every observation. That is a true theory of everything. Furthermore, we base it on just one concept. One. We cannot get any more simple than just one. One concept, the universal energy, from which all other energies, particles, and motions are created. It's the ultimate in simplicity. It's the ultimate in comprehensiveness. Which again supports the reality that the solution presented is indeed a true physical reality solution for the theory of everything. Okay, now for a preview of next videos. The unified energy, we briefly talked about it, but we're going to talk about it in greater detail in additional videos. It's an important topic. It's also a great solution, so it needs to be explained. Particle structures and the dynamics, of course, will also be shown in other videos. And please purchase your copy of the book, The Theory of Everything Perfectly Solved. All concepts, illustrations are presented here in full detail. We're only providing an overview in these video presentations. Okay, universal energy, the source of everything. Everything. That, plus the concept of the energy fish, and the different types of energy fish, will lead us down the path to all structures and all dynamics. Okay, thank you.